Real quick video for you guys today. Because we got new wheels and tires on the car, they are lighter. Let's just kind of go over how much weight we've shed on the car because I haven't weighed these yet, the stock setup, and we can use the internet to find out how heavy the wheel and tire combo is on the front and rears. So let's see how much weight we've shaved all together off the car, because the stock Dark Horse, the 10-speed, is almost 4,000 pounds. The weight will be down here. So she's kind of heavy, makes a little more power than the previous generation, but definitely knocking some weight off not only helps with acceleration, but just overall lightness of the car and make it feel better, make it feel quicker, yada, yada, yada. So let's weigh this stuff and then talk about how much it should approximately weigh. So I'm going to tell you right now that the stock rears 275s with the wheels, just lifting that up, it is super, super heavy. I don't understand why stock vehicles have to have such heavy wheels. Now I get they have to be durable, but the light wheels are durable too. When they're forged wheels, they're light too. So I just don't understand. Is it, a cost savings thing? Because this is the Mustang Dark Horse. This is their #1 track car right now. Definitely #1 naturally aspirated track car. And they put heavy wheels on here. So let's actually go ahead and put this on the scale right now. I have an idea of how much this is going to weigh. I believe the PSI is at like 30 PSI. Not that that really makes too much of a difference. So we'll give it like 1, 2, okay? Take it off. 63.6 pounds each for the rear. That's just mind-boggling to me. Now remember, if you haven't seen my last video as I'm getting tackled here, the rear setup is 345s, 11.5-inch wheel on the back. So that's ginormous, right? But you just saw how heavy these were. There's a bunch of weight savings there. Now, the fronts, we reused the stock size basically. We got 19x9s, and the fronts are the stock wheels, so we will have to look up how much these tires weigh online. But I do have the wheels over here, so let's go ahead and grab a wheel and just see how heavy the wheel is, right? Because again, you can always look up how heavy the tires are just online and then do the math. So let's go ahead and put the wheel on here slowly and see how much it weighs. This actually might be hard to do. Give me 1 second. So the stock wheel weighs 31.9 pounds. Now, it was really hard to balance it on there, but we can go with that, 31.9. So let me go to the computer and let's calculate how much our setup weighs and then compare. So right off the rip, we're going to go over the wheels, just how heavy they are on the front and the rears. So I got the SM10s. We're looking at approximately 23.5 pounds for the fronts and 24.64 pounds for the rear. So what is that? 47 pounds for the front. And then let's just round it up 25, so about 50 pounds in the rear. Now remember what the stock numbers were. I'm going to display all the weights on screen so you don't get lost, and I don't either. Now, we can go to the tires for the fronts. We are still running the Pirelli P0 tires, as shown here on Amazon, and thankfully, they have the weight, which is 25.3 pounds. So that's 50.6 pounds. So if we do 25.3, and then we do the fronts, 23.5, so that's going to be, I have it written down here, 47 pounds for the wheels, and then you got 50.6 pounds for the tires. That's 97.6 pounds. Now, if we go over how heavy the wheel was in the previous video, for the fronts, it was 31.9 pounds, times that by 2, that's 63.8 pounds, and we used the same weight for the stock tires, which was these here, 25.3 pounds. That comes out at 114.4 pounds, which means I'm saving a total of 16.8 pounds on the front of the car. Now, honestly, already you can probably tell that is going to be the most weight savings because we have a huge setup in the rear.
However, that's kind of how I wanted it because of the way that you put power down and whatnot. Having some weight in the rear does help put the power to the ground. So the fact that I'm losing more weight up front versus in the back, as you will see, I like that. Now, it's not the most amount of weight I could lose, right? There are even lighter wheels. You can get wheels around 19-ish pounds for the front, so that's an extra, 4.5 pounds. You know, that does add up. That's 9 pounds more off the front, but it's okay. That's not too bad. The look of the car looks amazing. Now, let's go ahead and go over how heavy those Michelin Pilot Super Sports are. 345s. So right down here at the bottom, we're looking at 34.83 pounds. So if we do the math, 34.83 pounds, and we multiply that by 2, we're looking at 69.66 pounds. And then if you multiply 24.64 times 2, 49.28 pounds. That comes out at 118.94 pounds. And then obviously we shown that how heavy the rear setup was. Stock was 63.6 pounds. Times that by 2 is 127.2 pounds. And if you do the math, we're saving 8.26 pounds on the rear. Also, one thing to note, the lug nuts that I put on there save about, I want to say it was 0.6 pounds. It's not a lot, but at least it adds up. The stock wheel lug nuts are heavy. They're very heavy. And if you're going to black or a different color, like, let me see here. There's another, like this gloss anthracite. You don't want the aluminum looking lug nuts anyway. And I don't believe you can use the stock lug nuts on a lot of aftermarket wheels. So if you get just a nice, reliable, cheap set of lug nuts, chances are they're going to be lighter than the stock lug nuts anyway. And even though it's not a lot of weight savings, everything counts, right? It all adds up at the end of the day. So let's go back into the garage and sum up some of the other weight savings we had, and then we'll be able to tally it all up on the video, and you're going to see how much weight savings I have on the car up to this point.
So we're back in the garage, and to sum it all up, how much weight have we saved on the vehicle? Well, we took off the crossbar here because honestly this is a dark horse. It really doesn't do anything. I'm not really going to track it. We did keep the chassis strut bar, whatever you want to call it, that's still there. Might take that off. That could save 3 pounds. We took the rear mats out and the rear seat delete. Now, rear seat delete usually saves 30 pounds. Now, I'm waiting for mine. I'm going to order one. So it saves around 30 pounds. It might actually be a little bit more. I went ahead and took this out, the liner and the styrofoam in here, because I mean, you can put stuff in there the way it is. It's fine. I may have added a little bit of weight here with the aftermarket speaker. That might be 5 pounds, give or take, but we won't count that. Obviously, went over the wheels and the tires. Took out the rear mats, like I said. These guys here, and here's the trunk liner thing. You also would hear the exhaust a little bit more. That's actually an added benefit, in my opinion. There's the styrofoam over there. So, overall, I have it written down. Here we go. So, wheel and tire, 25 pounds. Lugs, 0.6 pounds. H-pipe, almost forgot that. That saves approximately 6 pounds. Rear seat delete, even with the kit on there, will save approximately 30 pounds. The crossbar over the engine it was about 7.5 pounds. Rear floor mats, about 2.7. And the trunk mat styrofoam, believe it or not, weighed 5.5 pounds. So, we're approximately looking at 77.3 pounds. Now, if you made it this far, you're probably like, well, what the hell is the point of doing all that? Well, first of all, I actually race my vehicle against other people. But another thing is right now the only way to add a ton of horsepower is a Whipple. And in case you guys didn't know, the Whipple kit adds like 200 pounds to the front of the vehicle. 200 pounds. So if you're wanting to shed some of that weight, the next thing would be is to put an anti-gravity battery and save another 30 pounds. So that is why a lot of people do weight savings mods, because if you're putting it on extra horsepower, that stuff weighs a ton. Hopefully tuning comes out sooner than later. I'd like to Pro Charge. That would probably only add like 50 pounds, if that. Pro Chargers are really light, so we'll see. But that is the main reason why people do weight savings mods. Now again, I will say doing the rear seat delete, probably doing this, and then, once you get the seat delete kit, because they do look really, really nice, you hear exhaust a little bit more, and that's kind of nice. You don't really have to do any exhaust mods. You hear it better in the cabin, and it sounds really good. You can still talk to people and whatnot, and you can still hear music, you name it, but it does sound really good. So let me know what you guys think. What are some other weight savings mods that you recommend or that you've done that makes sense, especially on the S650 Mustang? But is there something I'm missing overall that you guys think would be a really good idea? Let me know in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already, and subscribe too, guys. Tons of car content. Check out the channel. There's something for everyone. It's a really good channel. Racing, car reviews, you name it. So that's it with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.